Alright, so, this is basically all nice and underpainted now, so we're going to start working on the detail of it. I've got my reference right up there, so I'm looking at that and seeing where I want to go. I think I'm going to put in this little spit of land right in here, and for that I'm going to take my, okay, this is kind of a medium brown color. I have to put on my glasses so I can actually see it. And to this I can come in and add darks where I need to, and highlights. So this is kind of my medium color. When I'm down around the water, I want to keep my chalk strokes kind of flat, but at the top I can add a little more bumps and dips and things like that, so that it looks like rocks when I finally get done with it. Let me bring this out just a little bit. I was looking at this the other day and I think it just needs to come out just a little bit more. Get my hand out of the way here. I've yet to find a good place to put the camera so that I'm not in everybody's way. Okay, and there's also in the background back here, and I'm going to switch colors. This is kind of a gray-brown, and there's just like another little jetty or rock pile over here. This I probably won't go back and do anything because it's too far away. Some rocks on the top. Alright. Now, what I want to do is start putting in some of the lighter colors in here. I'll get to the blending of this in a bit. I like to kind of get some stuff in and then go back in and blend later. Alright, so this is kind of it's an orange, what do they call it? They call it a gold ochre. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's kind of a lighter version of what I have there. And so I'm going to come in and start putting in some of the highlights on my cliffs here. I will brighten some of these. Like I said, I've got the reference right above me so I can kind of see that there's an area right in there. You don't have to be totally married to this reference. most people don't even really pay that much attention to the, the cliffs or anything, so they will recognize it if they've been there. Let's see. You see that? With the brush, I have a long handle. I can get my hand kind of out of the way. Okay, this is kind of a, what do they call this one? Permanent red. That's anything but deep. So I don't know why they call it permanent red deep, but that's kind of what they're calling that. But I want just a little bit softer color back here. This is a little bit more distant. And I'm coming down. I'm creating the landfall with this, all the erosion. I'll come back in. There's some plants and stuff on this as well. I'll even throw some of that in here because I like this color. Those cliffs are kind of a pinky orange. So this will, once I blend it, it should be close. And on these cliffs, because they are sedimentary rock, you can throw in some horizontal lines too. That'll just look like some of the sediment layers. Don't get too carried away with detail, like I said, because it is far away. Even though you could walk over there in a few minutes, it's still far enough away that you're not going to see detail. Save that one out. Okay, let me find my... Okay, so this is my color shaper. I'm going to go in and just lightly blend. Sometimes I don't want to blend too much because I like the roughness that I'm seeing from the chalk. And these are basically rocks. But I'm just softening that into the color that I have there. And occasionally I'll wipe off the edge when I'm switching into another color. I'm just very lightly blending this. Okay, I'm going to come down here. This is dark. This is just all these rocks. I'll just kind of get them all a little bit more filled in. Pushing the chalk around here. I've got some marks there that I made from sketching this in. I'm not worried about those. I can always go back in and put more color, which is what I'm going to do next, is work on bit of land back here. Okay. All right, so now that I've got that more, see, I'm trying to bring everything up at the same time so that I don't get fixated on like getting the cliffs done and the water looks terrible, and or vice versa. Blow off some of the dust. So now what I want to do is I want to come in and work a little bit more on the water. I'm looking back and forth just to see if that's really what I want to do, and I think it is. Okay, so in the water, let's see if I can bring this down. And you'll have to look at your own reference material. In the water, I'm seeing light blues, some lavender colors, some waves and things. So that's kind of what I'm going to get in there. Let's see if this is the color I want. Yeah. Okay. So this is that lavender blue. I've used it up in the sky before. And so that's the color that I'm using here. And again, I'm going to take and just, I'm lightly dragging this across. Now this may not get much blending because I want some of that underpainting that I have in there showing. Yeah, I just kind of streak this in. This is the blue of the sky kind of reflecting down into the water. There's some of that in front of this wave too. But I'm keeping my strokes parallel to the top and bottom of my painting so that the water will stay looking flat. A little bit of that back in here. A little streak of it back here. I'm not going to do too much in the distant water other than what I'm doing right now, because that's too far away. You're not going to see, any waves or anything else. It's just dark color. All right, let me see where else I can put this before I switch colors. A little bit up here. Okay, so now I'm going to switch and I may do some more of that. This is just the building up layers, building up to where I like it. So this is just a lavender color, a light lavender, and there's some lavender up here in the where it's crashing on the, take some of the paper off. And where it crashes up onto the shore, I think it's picking up a little bit of the color from the dirt. Let's see. Let me try a different color. I'm not liking that as much as I thought I would. Yeah, that's a little better. Of course, the gardeners come in today. Yeah, that's kind of the turquoise that I'm looking for. Don't, when you're doing this, that underpainting that you put in there before, like a lot of things, is important. If it shows through, that's good, because that now becomes the like little dips and stuff in there, texture. Okay, so now, like I said, I want to just lightly blend this. I'm going to do this with my fingers so that I'm not killing all of those chalk marks in there. I can come back in and create little waves and things, but I need to have this in. This is the base. This is how I do it. I want to make sure that everybody understands this is not set in stone. This is just how I do things. Can be a little bit more blendy up here. It's not to say that it's right or wrong, it's just how I do this. It works for me. If it works for you, great. If you find a different way to do it that works better for you, that's good too. And I learn techniques from my students, so if I like it, I'll steal it. Let's see. Well, there's one little place that I missed with my dark. There's two little points of land. There's this closer one and that distant one. And right in between them here, there's a bush, which I like because it separates those two points of land. So just put that little bush in there. I haven't been down there so long. I'll have to look at that the next time and see what that is. Okay, what I was doing while you guys were working was looking for colors, so I didn't have to stop and look for them. This is kind of a really dark blue, and I want to put that right at the bottom of this little jetty here. This is kind of where the water is hitting all the time, and it's making this a little bit darker. Now I'm trying to use just the corner of this. This is a harder pastel. Now if you have like pastel pencils, you can use those. I'm doing this rock here is always wet, so it's a lot darker than the things behind it. It's a little bit closer too. But let's see. Okay, what I'm doing is that I'm making little little shapes right at the bottom, but they're flat. But I can make an angle just putting a series of flat strokes on there. So that's all I'm doing, is just coming in and creating the bottoms of this. These flat strokes will make my rocks look like they're still in the water. I'm not going to be able to keep my hand out of this, so I have to check it after I'm done. That down, I'm just going to come back in with and lightly blend these. All right. I glance up at the monitor every so often to see if you can see that. It's subtle in the screen, but I can see it, you know, when I'm up close to it, I can see it real well. I've got to put some light in. See if this is going to be what I want. Yeah, this will work. Now this is the drier parts of the rocks, and I'm just going to come in and make a series of marks. I'm not trying to you know, do each individual rock. I'm just kind of making shapes back here. You know, this is just a pile of rocks, and you can't really pick out too many individual rocks. Okay, they're gone. But I'm making some big marks, making some little marks, kind of rolling the chalk around in my hand to get different parts of it. You know, this is one of those times where you make a mark. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular. Up here you might see these are closer, so you might see a few that are a little more defined. And this is just another layer. I'm going to be putting on some shadows here in a second. Now this I probably will not blend. Save that someplace. This is a dark indigo. It's a harder thing, but in here I'm just going to use this as my shadows, and I can suggest shadows in between the rocks. But again, these are just marks. Now I am kind of thinking about my sunlight. My sun's coming in from the left-hand side. So if I see, like on here, okay, these rocks. Now, you can see the light hitting here, So I'm going to put these little simple marks on the back sides of that. And these are subtle little marks, but they help give the rocks a little more form. Not get out of frame here. So I'm going to zoom back out, but that's what I'm doing. And I will be blending right down there at the water line. Now if some of that color gets into the water, that's okay. It'll be like reflections. Because these rocks will reflect down into the water a little bit, even though it's moving water, you will see a little bit of reflection around things. And that'll make the rocks look like they're down in the water. Kind of starting the detail portion of this. So I may go like back and forth between highlights and shadows and adding colors. Over here you can see bigger rocks and things. I'll do some more on that later. Set those there. Again, I'm just kind of adding things and bringing things up a little at a time. Now on this distant cliff here, there is some, I don't know what, some kind of weed that falls, goes down the side of it. This is not as dark as this color here. I don't think it is anyway. Maybe it is. Maybe I picked up the wrong one. Maybe it's this color. Yeah, okay, I think it was this color. This is a kind of a gray-green, medium dark color. And I'm just going to come down this cliff. I'm going to probably add some of that blue into this. Some of this comes all the way down to the bottom. So I'm just adding a little bit of that just to so now I'm going to take that indigo blue that I had, this indigo blue, and just blend into it. And you can also reshape. I kind of reshape this little cliff because there's a kind of a little prominence that sticks out that I didn't quite have. I made it too smooth. I'm not going to be blending this. I want it to look a little rough. I can take this same color and add some crevices that might be a little bit darker. Those I might touch a little bit with my color shaper, just so that they blend in a little bit. I will eventually get to the houses and the stuff on the top of the hill, but for right now I'm not going to do it. I haven't purposely forgotten them, I just haven't got to where I think I want to put them in. So now I'm going to come in and work on this pile of rocks here. Again, all I'm doing is putting little marks on things. You know, this is more of a highlight color. Is that the color I want? These are the dry rocks. I don't like that color. I want something a little softer, a little. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that's a little better. This is kind of a soft orangey color. I've already got that color in there. So put it on some of the rocks. It might be drying out just a little bit. There's a lot of color in this roadway here. This is where they have the blacktop and parking and stuff. And these are the rocks that support it. Set that aside. I'm going to pick up a soft gray, because there are some gray rocks in here. Little marks, big marks. Nope. Okay, that's a better color. I'm switching back and forth because I'm seeing different colors from probably wherever they quarried these rocks. There's local rock and there's stuff they bring in from other places. This is just kind of getting these rocks in, or the suggestions of these rocks. Bring it out a little bit on the this jetty here. Some of these rocks are a little bit bigger, so they stay dry in calm water. So yeah, it's starting to look like rocks. Let me go back to that light gray, because I see that over here along the path that's over here. There's a light gray, and then this color I was just using. So all I need is just a touch over there. See if I can strengthen that just a little bit. This is just a light, like a burnt sienna or something, mixed in with that lighter color. It gives me almost what I want. Keep my highlights closer to the center of my painting. That I'll just kind of leave. This little spit of land actually kind of comes out behind. Let's put that weed back in. That's better. That's better. You know, sometimes things disappear as you're working, so. Alright, I want to work just a little bit on the water before we quit today. Now I'm going to be using, this is kind of a dark green, kind of a turquoise green, or yeah, probably, you know, a combination of blue and green. Now I'm going to come in. Where's my? What I'm going to be doing is doing a series of little strokes like that in the water. That will get some of the ripples and things, and then in some places where I want like a little swell or something, I'll make upright little curves to create that swell. So that's all I'm doing there is just suggesting some detail back in here. I'm looking at my photograph. And like here I may come in and just put in what looks like a little swell, and sometimes they kind of, whatever's underneath them that causes them to swell, then they just taper off at the ends. Again, I'm trying to keep them kind of parallel so they don't look like they're flying out of the water. More disturbance over by the rocks. Can also take that dark blue that I had where the rocks were, and do a similar thing with that. Create a little ripple through there. Down here, there's a little ripple coming in. Switch colors. I'm just, not necessarily doing everything I see in the photograph, but I am, using that as reference. Now, right underneath where I'm going to have foam, I can make it a little bit darker right now. So I'm doing kind of a similar thing as I did up here on the rocks, but right underneath where that foam is, I'm going to put some of that foam in here in a minute. That was my dark blue, and I just want to take and just blend it out just a little bit. Leave some of that dark. Everything casts a shadow when it's bright sunlight like this. So I want to get that in there. Kind of fades out over there. Blend my little ripples a bit. And I'm making little U shapes with my blender too. I'm always thinking about what it is I am working on. If it's a cliff, if it's waves, if it's fur, if it's, plastic or glass. I'm always thinking about what it is and where it is in my painting. Okay, now this is probably going to seem a little odd. Is that, no, I want that one. But when you're putting in something that's going to be white, you underpaint it with some kind of like lavender blue or a blue. It doesn't need to be a real dark color, but this becomes the shadows in there. And so I'm making little circles. These are kind of flat, so there may be some foam that goes off into the back. Come all the way across. This goes off the page. Don't make it like a the same size all the way across. Over here it's going to be smaller. As it comes closer, the foam is going to be bigger. It's going to spread out more because it's closer to you. It goes off the page like that. I'm going to lightly just blend that in so I can fill in some of the gaps. Back here it just kind of blends into the water. The front's kind of frothy, and it just blends back. Variations in color, variations in value, and variations in shape. That's, you have to be aware of these things. We tend to, as humans, want everything to be all nice and organized and same size, same shape. It doesn't always work out that way. Nature is more chaotic than that. Okay, so now I'm going to take, let me look, see if this is, okay, this is that cream color that I didn't like up there, but I think it'll work down here. And I'm just, making little circles, like right at the top of this foam. I'll blend the two together. There's some foam that kind of goes off in the back. By blending these two, I'll get a softer color. Now this isn't a white. If you only have white, just use white. But I have this soft, I've torn the, what do they call it? They call it they call this an ochre too. So it's a little bit on the yellowish side. A little bit warmer than more down here. All I was doing with both the white and the underpainting is I was making little strokes. So I can put more of that in. Then come back with my white, and I don't want to cover up all of that. Let's see how far I can come over before I get out of frame. And then with my, you can use a stump or something, but I use this because it's small, and I don't want to touch the top edge too much because I want that to stay light, but I can blend that bottom part in together so that it gives a little more depth. One of the problems with a photograph is a photograph has its limitations. If you were there, you would see that the foam itself has shape. Right along the bottom, I'm just going to soften that into the into the water. I'm just looking to see how far over I am. I don't go out of frame. I don't end up going out of frame, so I'll save that for later. Just kind of lightly blend the bottom of that foam into the water. Some of this can get pulled back out. Okay, that's not too bad. And what I was doing, to make the waves and stuff, is I was just coming in and just making little strokes. And then I can come back in and just kind of lightly blend them. Sometimes just blend them right out. If you look at the photograph, you'll see that some of these ripples just disappear. And it depends on what they have underneath them that makes them rise up or go away. And one last thing before I stop the video. Okay, this is kind of a light blue. And okay, I'm gonna bring this down here. Say this is one of the rocks that I have. I'm going to take and make a little comma stroke up against that rock so that it looks like the water is coming and hitting that rock right around the edges of it. So that's what I'm going to be doing with this color. I think this color. It looked darker there than it does here. And you can go up onto those rocks if you want to. Some of them are just kind of coming in and then they splash up. I'm getting too far out, so you won't be able to see it. And I can also use this color right on the tops of some of those ripples, give it a little more hint of highlight. Wherever you have a shadow, there's probably going to be a highlight on top of it. So I'm just I'm going to move this over. So working back and forth. Again, they're just kind of like little quick strokes. Throw some of that color in all by itself. Might be a little high spot. Trying to keep it in frame here. And just kind of blend some of that into what's already there. It's a little bit small for this, but you can kind of see it